Hey, I want to take some time today to discuss something you're hearing quite a bit about today, since it is Independence Day. And it is this idea that maybe black people shouldn't even be celebrating Independence Day. A lot of black Americans are questioning, what does Independence Day mean to them? And don't get me wrong, I understand where they're coming from. They say, my ancestors weren't freed on this day. When this country was formed, we were still in chains, so why should we be celebrating the formation of this country? Well, I understand that, but here's a little thing I hate to break to you. My ancestors weren't freed then either. Most of my ancestors weren't even here. They were in other countries being persecuted for their religion, their heritage, etc. The ones that were here were sharecroppers and indentured servants. They didn't exactly get a lot of freedom at first either. So I wasn't freed as far as my ancestors go on this date either. But here's the thing. That's when this country was formed, and I am a citizen of this country just like all black Americans are. And you don't have to celebrate on the 4th that America is doing everything right and America is perfect, because we're not. We haven't done everything right through history. No country has. People love to blame America for slavery. They seem to forget that before we were ever a country, slavery was booming, and that England was the big slave traders. In fact, if you want to look at the founders and you want to base your opinions of them on their intentions, they wanted slaves freed in 1776. They wanted all men to be created equal. When they said all men, they meant all men. But unfortunately, they couldn't have a successful rebellion against England if they did that, because a lot of states that still depended on slave labor to be fiscally viable would not have gone along with it. And said, in fact, they said, we will side with England. So they had to say, you can keep your slaves. It's not what they wanted to do. It was just pragmatic. So if you want to actually study what they thought, pay attention to what they said back in the day, because they wanted everybody to be free. Just wasn't possible at that point in time. And that kind of gets me to what I'm saying about America. We're not perfect. We don't do everything right. But we try to eventually do things right. We try to change. And here's the thing. You, as a black American, are just as much American as me, as I am as a white American. And this whole thing about, well, then you should be equally proud to be an American. No, that's garbage. I piss people off when I say this, but this whole, oh, I'm proud to be an American, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. If you ain't done something else to be proud of, then you're fucked, because you shouldn't be proud of that. Because pride is something you take out of an accomplishment, something you've done, something you've achieved. The circumstances of your birth are not an achievement for you. You shouldn't be proud to be an American. You should walk around saying, I am grateful to be an American, and I'm going to do everything I can to make America as good as it can be. I'm going to actually stand up and try to validate my place in this great country by being as good a person as I can be. Because I am grateful to be here. I'm tickled fucking pink that I was born in this country. And even if you're black, white, Hispanic, etc., it's still a time in this world where you should be grateful that you're an American. Whether your ancestors were free or not. Mine weren't, yours weren't, etc. I'm not saying mine have faced the same systemic racism in this country as yours have, and that are facing the same problems today that you are, but a lot of people actually have. Let's not pretend blacks are the only people that are put upon. Let's look at gay people for one. Kind of okay to still hate them more so than blacks. So, let's not pretend we're the only victims of injustice in this country. And I'm not saying that in a demeaning way at all. I'm just saying, let's be realistic. But here's the thing. You're an American. America is one of the best countries you can be born into as far as freedom, liberty, etc. You should be grateful of that, and you should celebrate that. On the 4th of July, you should be like, I am glad that I am here. I am glad I was born here. I am grateful that I have this Constitution that protects me, and I am going to use this Constitution to make this country as good as it's going to be, as good as it can possibly be, through protest, through revolution, through whatever it takes, through civil disobedience sometimes. That's part of our culture. That's one of the most important parts of our culture. Revolution is how we became a nation. And revolution and protest and revolt is how we continue to change, how we continue to get better. Now, some people will be like, we're just getting worse. If you think that, then leave. Because this is still one of the best countries. And what you consider getting worse is if someone gets 90% of something and another group gets 10, and then they say, well, we want 20, you only get 80 now. That's not getting worse. That's getting more equal. And if you can't handle equal, then you've got some sense of entitlement that I don't understand. I think it's the same people go, I'm proud to be an American. Even though I had nothing to do with it. I've never done anything to make my country better or done anything I'm particularly proud of. That to me don't mean much. I'm grateful to be an American, and I'm proud of my accomplishments, and I'm proud of the things I do to try to make it better. That's what I want to hear people say. It's okay to say you're proud of your ancestors who fought for this country. I'm proud of my great uncles who risked their lives leaving the South to go to the North to fight for the Union during the Civil War. One of which had a black wife. Well, not legally, but that's how I have a little black in my family. I have black relatives still today. But that's the reality of it. I mean, it's great to want to be upset about the injustices in this country. And it's great to want to say, hey, we weren't included at the beginning. Well, I wasn't included at the beginning either. Now, I wasn't born a slave. And here's the thing. Neither were you. I don't think there's any living people that were born a slave anymore. You are suffering some of the racism and some of the consequences that come from that. But that's your job as an American to overcome that. And it's my job as an American to not tolerate injustice. So we work together to make it better. That's part of being an American. So that's what I think the 4th of July should be about. It should be about being proud of what people who came before us did and be grateful for the things that we have because of that. And because we are so grateful, we should actually take the time and make the effort to make the country better as a group. Don't condemn it for its weaknesses. Celebrate it for its victories and celebrate it for everything it does right. And then we'll work together to make it even better.